for the shine, what I want to do is create obviously a bit more shinier or more brighter color for that. So I'm going to go with something closer to white. Okay. I select that, and now what I want to do, at default, it has this kind of really sharp line, as you can see. You can change that by adjusting settings over here. So effect on the shine on the face. I'm gonna go with soft edge. So as soon as you select soft edge, you get to adjust how much of a blur you can give to that shape. Let's just choose something like so. Press OK. And I think the color is a little bit too bright, so I want to hold it somewhere like that. I think that would be fine. And now let's just add one more layer. And I can keep on adding, let's call this shadows. And I'm going to use the same color. Let's choose the skin color. And I'm going to make this just a little bit darker. And let's just draw some lines over here. So I can basically start to give shape to the face of the character, like so. I can do the same, you know about this, I can do the pages there, or I can simply select all of these, and then I can press Control C, Control V. Once I've done that, I can flip this horizontally, and then just move it to the other side. Create that. And not only that, if the shadows are going to be on the same layer, I can now maybe choose the same color, and now maybe add a little bit of shadow on the side of the eyes. So, and then I can keep sculpting the character however I think that's going to work for this. Again, for selection, you can click on lasso mode, and that gives you the ability to lasso around your selection and choose all the points there. I make a copy of this, and then I will flip this vertically and just move that into place. Alright, so let's draw one more down here, maybe. Circle here. Oops, that's on a different layer. Let's go find that. So for now, let's just leave it as is. I'll have to go and find the other layer for the nose. It's up here. I can add the details on the nose then. So maybe two more at the bottom right there. I can either draw new ones, or again select that and then Control C, Control V, and simply just move them up and rotate them into position, and then just shape them. Maybe that's so this one. Down. So. Right. And if that's fine, then I can click on the line to select the points over there, Control C, Control V, and just flip it vertically and move it into position. So I'm just basically adding more depth to my character. I can check how that looks by pressing Control R and just looking here. So it's just adding more layers, adding shading to the character. Um, it makes it look much better, obviously. So I'm gonna go to shine layer, Control C, Control V. Just copy that, make it smaller. Just add it onto the cheeks. And the good point about these is that these are all vector layers, so you can get in there and try to change them however you want during your work. So Control C, Control V, vertical, just drag it and drop it on the other side.
Maybe we can add a little bit because now it looks like
Yes, you can do that, yeah, obviously. So you can
she
change the
doesn't
color.
sleep at night.
Okay, so let's do that. You can select the layer and just change the color to, let's say, I'm gonna drag this over these. Let's say something like that. You can do the same thing here on this side. Just grab that there and just move them around for a bit of a more. Alright. But as I said, you have to experiment with this to give it the look that you want to go for. Now, up to this point, we just learned the basics. Now we're just adding a bit more information on the shapes and how we can use them to stylize our animation, which is actually quite important. Let me just check this one. Maybe we can just small bit to add that value to it. Alright. The same goes with the eyes, the shines of the eyes. If somewhere, obviously, I'm assuming you guys should know this, but obviously if somewhere is a little bit sharper in the shape that you assign to it, let's go for the nose maybe. So I'm gonna draw a circle here, and maybe let's just make this one quite red. So if something is sharper in highlights and shadows, it means it's glossier. So in the software, you can click over here, and then maybe you can bring it down. Shine effect either to 0 or maybe to 0.5. Add a little bit of gloss, and then I can shape this. Shape of the nose. Right? So that gives a much more shiny look. And they don't have to be in different layers. But again, as I said, this should be done during the process, or if you already created the bones and assigned the binding points to the bones, you have to go back in there and assign these points to those binding points as well. Now, let's move on to some more stylistic look. For example, back here for the mountain, this is a good example. Let me just go back to mountain. So instead of this being like so, I can, on the same layer, basically draw I think this one is, yeah, this one's mixed. So let's start again. sharper. I want to make these points sharper. Just lasso them. And then points and something is happening under your glass on this side. And just bring down these points. I'm gonna bring this in. Sharp. Sharp as well. And obviously want to add those top points. Right? So on the same layer you can make those now that's one thing. Now let's talk about, well, like any other thing, you can make everything keyframe and animated in Moho. So let's start by simple stuff. Let me just draw, this is, freehand tool is quite a powerful tool. Let's just start there. So by default, what you can see is when you draw with freehand tool, it's basically drawing a line, and then there are points to that line, right? That's simple as it looks. But let's change this color to maybe a red color, because there are other options to this as well. So by default, when you choose that, you get auto stroke. So it basically draws the line. But what if we turn on auto fill as well? As you can see, it creates a shape with a fill inside, right? So you draw, and while you're drawing, it actually shows you the shape. And if you're satisfied with this one, you just let go and you start to draw another shape, right? And it has multi-stroke fill, so let's see what that does. Now I draw this, and once I'm finished with this, I can keep on drawing, and then it just keeps adding to the points already existing. And once I'm satisfied with it, I can click enter or escape, and then I can start a new one. So that's that. Let's say I want to add another shape here, and then add that. Another one, so on and so forth. Escape, and now I have multiple shapes with drawing. And it doesn't only stop there, so let's just go through the capabilities that this model gives us. So let's say I'm in freehand mode. I want to turn multi-strokes off. Let's just leave auto fill off as well. So when I zoom in, you can see this is the width of my brush. I can change that quite easily by holding Alt down and then clicking and letting go of the mouse. So Alt down and clicking left mouse button, holding it down and dragging left and right, I can adjust the width of the brush. And by default, it doesn't have any fill, so if I draw a single line, okay? I'm gonna add a new layer here, vector layer, so we don't mix it up another time. Right? So that's it. And I'm gonna bring this up to where my character is, or above everything else. So all the lines are visible as well. Now, I can come over here, and before I actually start drawing, I can change the options of both the tool that I'm using, and also I can change the style of the pen itself. So let's click over here, and I'm gonna choose gouache. This is a really good example, and I really like the effect a lot. So now if I draw, look at the effect that it's creating. Right? So it creates lines for me, but it's quite uniform, quite random, it's fine. But if I go to the options here, I can use pen pressure. That's extremely useful when you have a pen tablet working with. If I click on random, And let's see how that works now. It actually changes the size in a random way. So it kind of tries to replicate the effect of using a pen tablet, but without having one. Obviously, you don't have enough control, but you can change the width control, the variations within the size change, by using something like that, or you can change the taper start and finish. And you can also increase how smooth it makes your lines to be. So the higher it is, the smoother the drawing lines that you make will become. Right? So I draw a circle, it does it like so. If I bring this down, it doesn't do anything at all. So you want to have it in a, depending on the project that you want to work with, you can have nice looking shapes like so. And then finally is the point reduction. How many points do you want it to make? If the lower the number, let's look at the points, the more points you're gonna have. The higher the number, the less points you're gonna have. So let's draw the same thing. I'm gonna use the same tool. Let's have more points, point reduction, and then let's see how that looks. So much less points on my basically on the drawing that I made. And don't forget again, these are all vectors. You can grab onto the points and make the changes you want to make, and it will update with that stylistic look. But it doesn't only end there. Let's say I want to apply the same effect on my character here. Let's choose the head layer, and I'm going to go to the base, let's say. And I want to change the effect that it has here. So I'm going to choose the select shape tool, and then over here I can change the style of both the fill and the stroke and the overall style of it. So let's take gouache again. And now that has been applied to my shape. Right? But it doesn't stop there. I can change the width. Let's select it. I can change the width of the stroke. Let's make it a little bit thicker. Again, I'm just trying to create a stylistic look to it. And let's see how that looks. Right? Not so fun. So you can apply two different styles to your shape over here. You can change the colors. And also, a really interesting feature on this, let's turn this. Let me select this tool again. And then choose. Where's the second? Overall one. And I'm going to double click on my shape here, and I think it should be. macro stroke. I don't know why this is not working. Okay. So let's choose brush. And I'm gonna turn this tile off on this one. Okay, so I have brush selected for the stroke, but then I can have line boy. So what does line boy mean? Let's say this is, let's make it 3 frames. And let's just jitter angle a little bit. Press save. Now if I play the animation, I can have that hand-drawn effect applied to the animation, so it makes it a little bit more interesting when you're adjusting the settings here. Yes,
Boil line is the one.
boil line. Yes, that's animating. So to change this, that would give you more randomness. I'll leave this to 2 or 3. I wouldn't take this more than that. If you want quite sketchy hand look, drawn look, then obviously you want to have that frame rate at 1. So let's change the size variations and spacing. So these all give different effects. Now, before we move on from this, let's have this, and then let's bring the size. Let's see how this one goes. So obviously you can come up with lots of different looks applied to this. This is quite fast for my liking. I generally leave it down like 3 or 4 frames. That makes them look, sorry, we have to first choose shape and then make the changes. Yeah. Okay, any questions? This looks fine?
For the shades that you did before, for shades and highlights, when we will do actions, do we have to take them all manually as well, right?
Sorry?
When we will do actions, for example, like turn left, turn right, it's also going
Yes.
to be like a
Everything,
different.
everything. These are just basic points, right? You grab all the points and you drag them to the direction you want. Okay, so that's for the stroke. You can also have some effects applied to the fill. So you can make it splotchy, just change the magnitude, and then you can see how splotchy they look. So I personally don't like adding these because they just make everything look a little bit weirder. The only thing I use is I use a file. So you can use an image texture, and you can bring in an image. So we don't have any image right now, but let's say, give me a second. Let's look at some. Let's see.
What kind of program will you use?
You can have anything basically, depending on the look you want to go for. So in this case, let's choose a candle texture. texture, I can go to image texture, and then under the setting for image texture, I can load the texture I just downloaded, and click on transparency, have to blend with it. Yeah, so what's happening here, it's applying it underneath all of these. You can adjust a certain color tone overall to this, but basically you can apply the texture as an image. So if you go plain, it's plain, but if you can drop more stuff or maybe make it crayon, let's make this a little bit less. This is an interesting effect as well. You can add line void as well. So here, it should, I don't know if it's going to show what's right now. Let's see. Right, it's not showing. Settings. Client. Oops. For some reason it changed the colors. I don't know why. Try it one more time. I think it's a software issue because we need to be able to see it in this area and it's not showing us. But it's adding that crime effect over everything else. That's because we changed that in project settings. Let's turn those off.
Maybe with a lifestyle,
Mhm.
lifestyle or by example, or
No, it's because it basically should have that crime effect applied to it. Let me see if I apply it to the hair. How would that look? Where is it? Here. So let's apply to this one. Yeah, I think this is because of the software error. It's an error because of software, because it should have that, and we raise it back down, but still, the effect is the same. Even when I did it from the thing, it didn't work, it just changed it up. So I guess that's the beauty of pirated application. Okay, so moving on, it's not working right now, but it should work. For some reason, it's not gonna work for us. So moving on, I'm gonna delete the layer effect on this one. This will be right here. Okay. So yeah, extremely useful tool to use freehand tool and draw the things you want to draw. But as I said, having a pen tablet is actually quite useful in this case because you can go on and draw stylistic shapes for your design. Okay? Right. Now, let's talk animation. think we fully zigged her, right? Let's see. Apparently we didn't. Let's jump back to a character.
I saw that he used to have ears. Doesn't remember. Yes, he had ears. I used to see the cats. He was like 40 years old. I don't think we go to sketching
Let's close this down. Yes.
Is the character that instead of his character name test or
Test. Let's go test. Right, so I'm gonna open up Moho. Because I don't know what we did. Make the bones, right?
I guess we
Yeah.
have
Test
to make
character.
the test.
Yes, we did, didn't we?
Actually,
Yes.
I'm with it. You may close it.
Hmm? No, it's not. Let's try it.
Like I don't do
Click on the test layer, it may appear.
this. Can you zoom? Yes, sir. Is it like a texture?
Yeah.
So the one is focused.
Yes, okay. So, the first thing we're going to cover is motion blur. So let's say your character is currently being animated. The hand is up and it's going to shake the hand, right? So I'm going to animate that. Let's take it up here. It's going to go 2 frames all the way down and 2 frames. It's going to go up. So by default, if I play this animation, that's way too fast. And it's actually good. I can show you some settings here. So I can select these or select the ones afterwards. And as you can see, I have a setting up here. This is basically pushing all your frames forward, right? So let's say I want to push these frames 10 forward, right? So let's go on that. I'm going to push this 10 forward. Then let's say I want to push this one 5 forward. I'll move on to that, and then I'm going to push that 5 forward. So, and it doesn't only do that with just these keyframes. If you have thousands of keyframes in front of it, you can basically push your animation, all of them, forward, which is extremely useful to have. Now, if I were to, let's say,